How's she looking?
Good.
Okay.
We'll see.
Great.
There's no guarantees. We don't know.
Well, we're going to start with, who's the camera? I don't see anybody.
They're online. Chris Drake is online. Dakota Daryl
They're not coming out.
Crandall is online here.
I'm gonna call this August 5th, 2025 meeting to reconvene, 1 o'clock. First of all, I want to apologize for the technical difficulties that caused this delay. Next item on the agenda is discussion on the sheriff's 8B, his request for cruiser and body cameras and the results of the consultant work done by Daryl Crandall. Daryl, I understand you're in the car. Are you with us?
I'm pulling over here now, so I'll be able to hear you. Give me just a second.
Okay.
All right, I'm all set. Go ahead.
Gentlemen, for those who've never met, this is Daryl Crandall. Daryl has a long history in law enforcement, from county sheriff to northern commander of the NDEA, and now has a private detective agency and consulting business. We have been given copies of his review of the bids that was submitted by G-Tech and Motorola. I'm not sure where to start on this, Daryl. Almost like a mystery novel. Go to the last page, see who did it, and then read the book. But I'm wondering if that's maybe where we could start with your final analysis of the two bids.
You talking about the summary at the end?
That's his problem. No, that was.
Everything is working. His vehicle, he's not muted. So
It didn't pass.
we have Dakota on. I don't know if anybody else could
Well-
reach out and speak to her.
Can somebody call Dakota and just see if Dakota, are you on? Can you hear us?
We're having technical difficulties.
Son of a-
I am on here. I had to leave early for a doctor's appointment. I am here by Zoom.
Okay, we're having trouble getting hold of Daryl. I'm wondering if it's he's causing the problem with his unit, or if it's ours still acting up. Are you
I
hearing us
think it's
okay?
I think it's yours still acting up because you keep cutting out for me as well. I don't know if you were able to hear me. I do think it's the county still messing up. You're very patchy.
Yeah, well, yes, yeah, there you go. Yep. And our silence is the dismay that we feel. I don't know what to do here.
Well, I mean, I hate to say it, I mean, we did the report. To me, it seems pretty straightforward. I don't know, maybe I'm missing something. But it was pretty much that they're so similar and one's a lot less, so.
Well, I know what the problem is that we have salesmen, representatives from the company.
We have the ability to have a, phone call, conference call, because they could call in if you had that ability, right?
Call Daryl. Can you call Daryl?
Yeah, but it would have to be,
No, I mean, just to let him know that what's going on here, so that he doesn't wonder why. Well, call Dakota and tell him to call his two sales reps. Let them know that we're still having technical difficulty. We're not sure how we're gonna address it.
Can you guys hear me? Because I can hear you fine.
That's Dakota. Oh,
No,
nope, sorry.
Well, we
Sorry, that's
can-
Chris Straight.
We can right now. Dakota tells us that we're having trouble with this sporadic again.
It's not that bad. I can hear you. I can hear you fine.
Hello?
Jeff with Island Tech, they're getting the low bandwidth messages again.
Yeah, hi, can you hear me? Yeah, we're just obviously trying to talk through it. We're having trouble right
So
now.
they're having more
Same
trouble with
issue,
this,
so
so they're talking about maybe doing a conference call, phone call.
it's I was asking if he could loop in
Oh,
as well.
if we can get Dakota to call
Yeah, well, that's why I was
Yeah.
asking
I'm not smart
before,
enough to.
if we could get everybody.
So they're not all conference call in there?
I'm gonna try. What's that?
So Jeff.
So can you,
This is Jeff from Island Tech. Just so you're aware, I'm on the conference call. I'm muted there. Your signal now is showing really good. So it's not showing low bandwidth now.
It's no one's on.
Give it a minute.
That's why, it's no
Yeah, it
one's
looks
on.
like.
I would ask that anybody that doesn't need to be in the meeting by Zoom
oh,
should
speaker.
not be in the meeting. If you don't need to be in the meeting. I think
That doesn't
earlier we
matter.
had 20 users and that was effective.
I just might make a suggestion that everybody on the conference call mutes. And then use this, and then if you need to, just bounce to the conference call.
Yes,
Hello. All right, so I have Chris Drake, Daryl, Jeff, and the GTAC representative all on the call here.
So that's Daryl too.
that's a
Oh, sure.
podium and put the mic down to it. So it doesn't just- Who was that speaking? Dakota?
Oh, Dakota.
Try again, Dakota.
All right, I have Jeff from ITS, the GTAC representative, Chris Drake from Motorola, and Daryl Crandall all on call.
No conference. We can hear us. Daryl, can you hear us?
And
Okay, do we need to holler? Okay. Then, let's try to proceed. First of all, did the both vendors get a copy of your review, Daryl?
I, to you and the county administrator, and that's it. I didn't know what you wanted to do with the distribution there.
They haven't had an opportunity to review the results of your review. Okay, that's what I needed to know. So Daryl, would you take a minute and give us a summary of your review?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. That was Zoom acting up. Go ahead, Daryl.
And along the way, there were questions about does this cross-check exactly between vendors and that's today. Some real compatibility between the proposals. They were asked for some costs for things that were not included, but the county might want to include. There were some changes made along the way regarding the timeline, because the initial timeline for one of them was less than what was understood to be the request. And so we got through all of that with all of them and with again, the current clients as to their satisfaction with the products that they're currently using. And as I guess as I get to my summary, what I concluded from my review was that I felt that I pretty comfortably come to understand what it was that the sheriff's office wanted or needed, as it was expressed to me anyway, and felt that I'm pretty comfortable with at least the stated capacity of each vendor to meet the needs of the county. And I concluded based on that it was my opinion that each of the vendors at this capacity sheriff's to that were going to be deemed to be critical by the county was obviously left to the county to determine. Certainly highlighted the costs as proposed by both of the vendors, and then talked about. I provided a sort of checklist of each goal, which stated the need by the county and the statements by each vendor that they met those needs. I confirmed that cross-check with Lieutenant Tweed. And then, I guess I picked up with talking about, my personal recommendation based upon my experience that I would not recommend. So I had been asked to have them bifurcate, bifurcate the proposals to have just the cruiser cameras quoted, and then what would it cost to add the body cameras back in, which they both graciously did. And then I made my recommendation at the end that would not, based upon my operational and leadership experience, be my recommendation to deploy cruiser cameras without body cameras. And so that's what as I think from memory as I pretty good. You can put it in ours if you want. We can also create hyperlinks within ours to be able to share directly with the prosecuting attorney.
Okay, back to Motorola. You were gonna speak to the LPR issue?
Yeah, so the LPR piece, the in-car video solution will only integrate with the fixed cameras you bought. It'll only be able to share data with the agencies that have our LPR, which is Ellsworth, Bar Harbor, Bangor, Brewer, Holden, soon to be Maine State Police once they start buying M500. We have tons of other agencies in Maine that are going forward with our LPR. We also have New Hampshire State Police, we have Mass State Police, New York State Police, like all the state agencies around Maine that they'd be able to share data with. So you're kind of siloing yourself in that aspect, because you're going to be using two separate systems that aren't going to talk to each other. So to do investigations and what we kind of were talking about before, how much time it takes them to do investigations and all that stuff, this is going to streamline that work. Same thing with reports.
Well, the streamline, is that the key word here? In other words, G-Tech is gonna be able to do it, but it's not as streamlined as you. Is that the issue?
Correct. I mean, like everything that you have invested money in, the filming CAD, RAID, Motorola radios, the LPR system, like that's all under our umbrella. You add the in-car and body worn, you're locked in, you're able to scale that system, right? So you can go to the SBX, you can go to the AI report writing, you can go to all this other stuff that we're coming out with in the future, the Bluetooth RSMs. So, without that, you can't, with a separate system, you can't really do anything. This is Daryl. If I could, a lot of this is covered in the report, in detail, and talks about, what the proprietary advantages are for Motorola and what that really means practically for the county if they chose to go with the other vendor. And so I think that, as I understand this, and I'm sure somebody will be more than happy to correct me if I'm wrong, but with the LPR data, it's not that you're not going to have access to your LPR data, or that your vigilant data is not going to continue to interact with the vigilant data from all the given Motorola customers. What it's going to do, if you choose not to go with Motorola, is that your LPR data collected by your cruiser account will not also be incorporated in with that data. So it would be that's a separate cloud from which your LPR data would be viewed.
And then if you want to merge those two, you have to do that manually.
From the vendors, I don't know if as a client or a customer you could, force the issue with one vendor or another to try to send that information so it was all in one place or not. I don't know what the penalty is for that.
When I say merge,
You're not sure what.
okay. When I say merge, there, what I meant, merge.
Flock is not our LPR company. Flock is a separate company that we partner with. We partner with multiple. GTAC believes in an open ecosystem. We believe in allowing our customers to pick the best vendor possible and integrate with that customer to give them an open ecosystem or a holistic approach to policing. So whether that's, Leonardo or Flock or any of these other ones, Motorola is a very closed off system. So we've not had an opportunity to even engage in a discussion to send plate data into Vigilant. We manufacture hardware, and that hardware is capable of reading license plate reads Can we store the data ourselves? Yes. We typically send that data to our entities. But Motorola is open to us sending data to them. That is a conversation that is worth entertaining. Close to using data.
The agent that it to do that.
Those are on the.
Department would have to do a few more clicks if they could save $250,000. I just want to be sure that, given enough clicks, they're able to do everything they need to do. And you're saying, Daryl, pretty much that they can, they just want to work a little harder in some cases, correct?
I don't think there's gonna be any argument from the vendors or anybody else that they will be able to transmit any evidence they collect to external stakeholders. Whether it's video evidence, whether that goes in one file or two files or three files, or is done on the back end by an automated system, I think is where the questions lie. As you know, you got with a license plate at a location that is also been looked by a cruise camera. If it's all in one spot, they're going to have that information easily. Not all going to My concern was the price point, which again is shared, so whatever you as the commissioners decide, we would be pleased with.
John, your remarks?
I want to ask again, how are we paying for this? I know there's the potential, right, for the new appropriation to go through next year's, correct?
The last thing we saw, yeah.
We
I don't know how much.
we might know that in September. We might know whether or not it passed. The only problem is, we may face the same similar situation where Congress approves it and the president takes it that till next year.
So,
And that's one reason but ultimately, as you have seen in these quotes, the difference, this is for obviously an operation beyond 5 years, because I fully expect these camera systems to last longer than 5 years. Our current systems now are, I mean, depending on the individual camera, we're, 7 to 12 years old. So I do expect those to continue beyond just what is quoted today.
Dakota, where in that
I have not seen Daryl's consultation, so I don't know. So, this is Daryl.
eight or seven.
Yeah, page 8, Daryl talks about the
I'm having trouble locating it, but I can tell you that, it's under the heading of year 6 cost, which would be at the conclusion of the 5-year agreement that's proposed by both agencies, and it would be obviously toward the end of the report, but, sorry, it's right here. The estimated total operating cost of the full system for the first year following the initial 5-year was reported at $35,600.
what page you want to do. Gentlemen, if we're talking G-Tech, we're going to need a $26,000 down payment. It's a 75 down payment. Impact on the Yeah. From settled on Spillman. They were a great company. Dick Spillman himself I worked with, and when later several. I'm just as excited because I thought maybe someday we could all be talking the same song sheet, the same song sheet, and I would like to feel the same way about that today, but I'm concerned that G-Tech may not be able to do everything the sheriff's office needs, but I'm more concerned that I can't bring myself to spend $500,000 for a video system. So I don't know, I'm torn, I don't know what to do with this. Sam?
I think the GTEC system is adequate. I think they can work with that. I think Dakota mentioned that. Him, they could make it work. Either system would work for them. If it wants a little bit more convenient, they can still make it. And it's quite a bit of money.
It would be one thing if we were in a spot where essentially, 90% of the cameras are down. And so, I mean, we just get, I mean, to me, it's like we need to just get off the pot because we put it off a year because of, wait, just make sure the money came in from the feds. Then we had a big beautiful bill. So we don't have that. So now we're just gonna have to bite the bullet and go for it. Hopefully the feds help bail us out to some degree. It's gonna be us there that can do it, county taxpayers. And the responsible thing would be to spend $261,000 rather than $461,000. That's my opinion.
You ready to call a vote? Then I'm gonna call a vote on the motion. All those in favor?
Aye.
I
I want to be listed as did not vote. The motion carries, 2 in favor. 1 did not vote. So I'll leave it up to the sheriff's department now to start the process of contracting with GTEC. We're going to have a discussion at the next meeting on where this money is going to come from after we review our funding options. So we'll have an agenda item next time of accepting a contract from GTEC and for the payment strategy to pay for that. Anything further with regards to this?
Yes, if I may, Commissioner, so do you want us to hold off on signing that contract, or are you fine with signing the contract moving forward as far as scheduling and installment? Or, I mean, knowing that we'll pull the money from somewhere, do you want to hold off until you figure out where that money is going to come from?
No, I'm sorry, I did not realize you had a contract ready to be signed. I thought you might need some time for that. If you have one, we have just voted to sign a contract with GTEC for that service, so gentlemen, unless I'm wrong, they're free to go ahead and sign that. So you're free to go ahead and sign that. We'll still have a discussion at our next meeting though on how we're gonna pay for that.
Next meeting.
Pardon?
Next meeting.
Okay. That sounds good. My understanding is that that quote is adequate, as far as to sign that and move forward with that, but I'll confirm with GTAC.
Whatever it takes. And Chief, next meeting, if we have all that information in front of us and our recommendation is ready, you know, on where that should come from. Anything further? And hearing none. We'll move on. As far as moving on, Daryl, thank you very much.
Yes, you're welcome.
As far as
Thank you all. We appreciate it.
As far as moving on, we still have the same technical difficulty. We're just gonna have to muddle through this if you can hear us.
Yeah, we just,
Alright, I'm gonna hang up the phone call, guys.
It seems like the fewer people that are on the Zoom meeting, it seems to work a little better. So right now we're at 6 and it's working. But every now and then it shuts off, turns back on. So
You throw somebody off.
Sankey is one of them.
Like, and
thank you.
so let's move on to RCC. I think you'll send to RCC, we have a monthly report, anything to add?
Do not, it's been a long meeting.
All right, I'm going to accept and file the RCC report as presented. Appreciate you doing all the extra time.
I'll second that.
Discussion, hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Thank you, Bob. You have human resource monthly report, anything to add to that, Josh?
No.
I move to accept and file the human resources monthly report as presented.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, so the second item was the personnel policy change that was voted on previously at that Juneteenth. I have the updated policy to be signed today.
I move to approve the proposed changes to the personnel policy, adding Juneteenth to the list of county holidays as presented.
I'll second that.
Discussion. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
I was opposed to June 15th being a holiday, but the majority of the board has approved that, and I'll approve that being part of the vote in favor of that being part of the policy.
And the last item for HR is the HR job description for the director level. Now that the HR is its own department, that essentially makes that manager position a director position, where before I was simply managing HR for the commissioner's department. Now that department is its own department. So it's just a formality. It just changes that job description correctly from manager to director. With no salary increase there, it's still the 7.5% that was allotted in the budget session.
Move to approve the replacing of the existing human resource Resources Manager job description with the proposed Human Resources Director job description as presented.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anything else, Josh?
No, thank you, Jim.
We have monthly bills and warrants.
Move to accept and approve the monthly bills and warrants as presented.
I'll second that.
Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Michael. You got some good news for finally for the day, huh?
Yes, believe so. So as you can see, we have a candidate unanimously approved by the committee that was reviewing, and we're acting your approval to hire June Gilroy, okay? Ellsworth as a full-time administrative assistant in the Commissioner's Office at pay grade 9.1, step E, effective August 9th, 2025.
So moved.
I'll second that.
The 9.1 is one of those,
So that's one of those ones that had been added back before. We had the prior position, we had hired it at the 9.1 because it gave us a little bit more flexibility at the time as well related to the position. And then you approved, we talked about doing away with the 9.1, but then based on the finance coordinator position, you just reinstituted it. So again, to give us that flexibility, you asked what we needed, to give that flexibility with the position description, and so that I can utilize the position, hopefully so this person can help me out with some of the work that I do, to be able to remain in that 9.1 position. But based on the pricing and everything else, we have to ask for permission and experience to go beyond the C initial request. So that has obviously gone through the review with HR as well, so.
you concur on the E, Josh.
Correct.
So Michael, in the future, you would not be opposed though if we somehow could alter these things and do away with adult ones in all these categories, right? In other words, find a place for her on the regular pay scale, or would you?
I mean, we can make it happen, but the issue was obviously this position basically has, the 9.1 gave a position of being one more step above the 9.
It wasn't worth 10, is that it?
But again, all this could change once we have the study and all that as well. So I mean, that, yeah, there could be a chance during that process to consolidate, revise, and then so on and so forth.
Anything further? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you very much, appreciate it.
We are getting back to what had been discussed hours ago. I apologize for that.
I just wanted to hand out these just to give you an idea of what my point of reference is and what I use on a daily basis. But it's. Yes, I'm not sure why it's a separate agenda item, but we discussed last year the compensation for the department head in probate, and this year I'm following up with more the same. I think in 2025, we attempted to increase the salary as well as create a gap between the department head and the deputy. And we didn't make it very far. So I presented just a little bit more information regarding the roles and responsibility of the registrar. We also included information about the other counties. And a closer comparison is the civil department here at District Court. Should be in the notebook that I provided to you.
Pardon?
It should be in the notebook as provided to you last week. In the white notebook.
Oh, in a meeting book?
Mhm.
So essentially, are those the same materials you provided? Yeah, so they should have it in the packet.
Yep, the statute book that I handed to you physically, I just wanted to give you an example of the material that I'm required to know and understand and use. So the map of Maine is the Maine Judicial System's most recent annual count. And I highlighted Ellsworth's Civil Court. And we did about half as many cases as civil court with our same staff level that we've had for over a decade.
You are aware that this year we decided to give everybody a 7.5% increase on the caveat that Josh would contract with a consultant and we would do a full review of salaries, including department heads and non-exempt employees. And my personal opinion is that regardless of how good a case you make for an increase in your pay, granting an increase beyond 7.5% to any department head, whether it's you or any of the others, opens up the floodgates to everybody coming to us, even though we have a one-year policy that we're going to hold through 7.5 on and give you the assurance that Josh is going to conduct a full review. You can only hope that the information you've got in support of the raises you're asking for is going to be concurred by the consultant, and that should reflect in some recommendation for an increase in pay.
Correct.
But sitting here, I'm saying, how do we, as a commission, give you a raise in 2025 and none of the other departments get a raise beyond the 7.5%?
Well, I could say, look back, and historically, I'm not asking for anything a department head hasn't asked for previously. And if you'll look at I think we call this the Excel sheet for probate, you'll see that all my staff will be getting raises more than the department head. I don't know if that impacts my ask, but what I'm trying to show and demonstrate is that as a department head and an elected department head, my staff will soon outpace me for salary.
And all we can tell you is that we promise that we're going to do a very comprehensive and complete review of all salaries. And if that independent review done by a professional consultant tells us that you were woefully underpaid, then we will certainly consider what your pay is going to be. But we can't get that done for the 2026 budget year. So it's 7.5% for all department heads for 25, and then an adjustment in the 27 budget based upon the review done by the consultant. Gentlemen, do you have a different opinion on that?
I have a different opinion on that. And I would like to say that this is a discussion that we started last year. And I was promised that it would be addressed. And the documentation that HR is showing does show that my department in particular is in the bottom third of the state. The paperwork that I've provided confirms that, and I'm confident that the work to be done will also concur with the work that I have to reflect that. When we made the adjustment last year, whether it was a miscommunication or misunderstanding on my part, when I left the BAC committee, I thought we had created a larger gap between the department head and the deputy. In fact, I really only received a 4% increase above the COLA from last year. So we're not making any dent on what I'm being told from the administration offices that will be making a dent. And I can understand that you want me to rely on a promise, but I have actual bills to pay. And Hancock County is experiencing a housing crisis. I don't have a dual income, so it's really me responsible for me. So I wouldn't be advocating for myself if I didn't come here and state again that my department head salary needs adjustment. I don't know if you want to take a look at one of the blue books, Bill.
Here's my problem. We could sit here for the next 6 weeks listening to every department head who came in something less than the rest of in their salary from the rest of the state. And we expected that would probably happen after Josh did his survey. But we have consciously made a decision that we want to hold everybody to a certain amount until we can get this study done by a professional consultant. And then as each department head comes, we have a basis for what we're going to pay them besides, thinking with our heart. So I don't want to look at anything because I don't want to be faced with the issue of having Bob come next week or the next meeting with all the justification in the world for why he should get a raise. And the next week after that, the EMA director. So
I understand. I'm not trying to make
Okay,
you
so-
defend that. I'm just saying I have a right to be on the record to disagree.
that's why you were on the agenda today.
And I'd love to, and I didn't mean to interrupt the other commissioners, but of course, I'd love to hear what you have to say.
I'd probably have more sympathy for your position if we hadn't given you, it's the only person who got it. To you, it might be like, it was only a 4% raise above COLA. That's the important part of it. I mean, the 6% COLA, as everybody's heard me harp on, is twice what the cost of living increase was. So it was really a 3% bonus plus COLA, my feelings. And when we're talking about doing 7.5 this year, to me, again, it's at least double what the COLA is for me. So, yeah, it's hard for me to be like, oh yeah, we really need to do something this year, but especially when I think it's been clear that we have a plan to do a serious look and change some of the salaries. So, it's hard for me to really go there when I'm used to a rule of 2, 3, and 4% increases for people. So I think we're doing pretty good.
Sam?
If I remember correctly, you've been underpaid for a few years. That's why this whole thing got started. And if other department heads are going, well, she got this, why can't I get this? So what? You feel like you should, but you haven't been underpaid for that many years. And we're trying to bring everybody up, and we're gonna do that on a survey, but on an individual basis, she deserves a raise.
Thank you. I appreciate your support. I do realize it's going to be a reoccurring comment that you will see over the next couple weeks. And I'll be tuning in to see what everybody else puts for their percentage.
Well, we need to settle that today because we're developing a budget. So if you have a percent line for an increase, why don't you put that in the form of a motion? We'll see where it goes.
All right, so I'm not making the motion. I'm just getting a piece of paper that,
Well, I see on yours, it says you're recommending between 15 and 20%.
yes,
Okay, Sam, based upon that, do you have a motion for an increase? This would be effective January 1st to 26th.
I go with the 10%.
Okay, is that a motion?
That is a motion, so make the motion.
Is there a second? Hearing none, the motion dies for lack of a second. Is there any other action? Hearing none? We'll move on. And let's see, I think we're moving on to 15B. Michael? Opioid settlement?
Yeah.
Do you have the information or is that Dale or who is it?
So I do, the information is in your packets that I gave you before.
So this is essentially another potential
So basically, yeah, there's
potential settlement.
two additional settlements that the state of Maine has agreed to participate. Therefore, the subunits within the state are given the opportunity or being asked right now as well to participate, whether or not you want to participate. In order to participate, there is an opt-in process that either can be done. Well, they of course try to set it up so that you will DocuSign it. If not, you can try to do it manually and then DocuSign the manual submissions, or the third option they gave, I think, was manual. It was hopeful that maybe only one signature could suffice, and we could say that you've opted in today and that you authorizing whatever paperwork needs to be done. There are two different deadlines, so one is for the Purdue Sackler family, which is listed as CL 1748504 as reference. And then the second one is again, a multi-manufacturer type of settlement between Algen, Anil, Podex, Hikma, Fire, Mylan, Sun, and Wheaties. I'm sure I slaughtered those names, but basically, yes, between those 8 different opioid manufacturers. So essentially, you have to decide whether or not you want to opt in at all. If you don't want to opt in, then basically you do nothing, and then you can't get any of those funds that are ultimately divvied out. The more subunits that agree to participate, the more money that's ultimately given to the state or the main entity, and then that trickles its way back
Yeah,
down.
everybody opted in. What's the downside to opt
They want to sue on their own.
Well, I mean, that's a potential. You could argue that they would want to participate in their own suit, but I mean, that's not realistic for us. I mean, you would spend literally thousands of dollars and probably not get any more than what.
So your recommendation is to.
So, I mean, I would say as long as you want to continue to get out on the truth, I mean, we need to work on our program for getting these funds out into the community. And they're starting, I mean, I've certainly been talking with the jail administrator about this, and, we'll probably be coming back with, but if you want to continue to try to take advantage of those funds, then the first thing you have to do is agree to opt in and actually participate.
You ready, John?
Yes, we're ready. I'm going to move to approve the Hancock County participation in the direct settlement agreement with Purdue and Sackler Family Finance, and authorize the county administrator to sign the participation form as well as any other documents associated with the settlement on behalf of Hancock County.
I'll second that.
Any further discussion?
How do they divvy that out by population?
So it is, I believe, initially, I'd have to go back and look, there is a formula that basically gives a certain amount of, credence to that, which basically, I would assume is like a per capita.
Got any round numbers on that?
You tell
As far
us.
as our.
But it ultimately, we ultimately will get a breakdown that shows how that's all done and what that breakdown is. So we don't really, I mean, I guess you can test what's there, but chances are it's not going to change.
I don't know, maybe it's just my sense, but it seems like there's a lot of money there, but there's such stringent fingers on what you can do with it, that it's difficult for us to find enough ways to spend it. Is that right, Michael?
Yeah, I mean, I would say that that's fair, and that's why many other counties, and that's probably what I'm gonna come back to a recommendation, is looking to basically have some type of subcommittee put together that looks at how to disperse these funds, not just within our county budget process, but also working with partners to get those funds out there
I got a
in
suggestion.
the community.
Make sure they publicize the meeting dates.
We'll certainly try to do that.
You know, what's talking.
I believe so.
Do they have drug treatment centers in this county?
So I know there are some providers and stuff, and that's part of what we'd have to talk
The
about.
hospital, does the
between-
hospital do that?
Well, I mean, part of it would be, again, that partnership. So you would try to involve the hospitals, you try to involve these nonprofits that provide certain support services. We'd obviously have a representative from that we contract with from the county for our medical services as well. We would attempt to do that, if obviously, if not, at fault, the minimum would be the jail. But that would be part of what we'd have to look at next is who really should be the people that you should bring to the table to have these discussions.
My sense is that there's been nobody since Open Door closed that is robust to the drug treatment programs. So,
Off the top of my head, I couldn't tell you who would be doing it, to be honest with you. I mean, the jail administrator might know.
I'm gonna call a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
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 All right, next, I'm gonna move to approve the Hancock County participation in the new opiate settlement agreements with Olgagen, Amnel, Apotex, ICMA, Idavor, Mylan, Sun, and Zydus. And to authorize the county administrator to sign any documents associated with these settlements on behalf of Hancock County.
I'll second that.
Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you.
While you're right there, Michael, we're not gonna have an executive session and your county comments, your administrator's comments are on the agenda. You have something?
So the only thing, just wanted to make sure that you had received the email invitation for the Orland Broadband Community Celebration. Okay, so that is coming up on the 12th at 5 p.m. They have submitted to us a copy of the request. We told them that they need to provide some additional information before we're going to feel comfortable spending ARPA funds. We need to know exactly kind of what has been done, and I guess they're working on that.
I've not heard back from them since I made that request.
So,
We had money set aside.
so we had set aside another 100,000 was remaining to pay for it once they've been done. Now, reportedly, they have apparently connected everybody at least to the network. And I think the next question is what, they've got some houses and stuff to connect to complete that process. But again, what I had asked for and told Monica to reach back out to them is that as part of our processes of them being essentially a subcontractor for the provisional services, we need to get something from them that shows us exactly what they did and then see if that's consistent with what they told you they were gonna do with $100,000 before we actually issue that check.
Yeah, it was a total of two.
Yeah, altogether, correct, but we did give them the down, first half before, correct? So that's basically where we're at with that, but I wanted to make sure you at least had the invitation. You can respond back, obviously, however you want, but just want to make sure you'd seen it. And that's basically all I have at this point.
Move to, any commissioner comments?
Any comments from the commissioners?
Move to adjourn.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.